New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, he met with Donald Trump over the weekend, but it's pretty clear that he's on the outs with the president-elect, especially after he's replaced as head of the transition team. So it's no surprise that Christie just announced he'll be coming back to Trenton, finishing out his term as governor. Well, Democratic Assemblyman John Wisniewski, he is running to become the next governor. He, a frequent Christie critic, he even led one of the Bridgegate investigations. Wisniewski, he joins us now. Well, first, let me ask you about the sitting governor for the moment. He says he's going to come back to Trenton now that it looks like there isn't the job that he once thought may be. Will the Assembly or the state legislature, for that matter, move forward into impeachment, as some have said, given some of the revelations that came out at the Bridgegate trials?
Well, I've been an advocate for the legislature picking up where it left off with the investigation into the George Washington Bridge scandal. Ultimately, that decision is a decision that's made by the legislative leaders, not me. I'm hopeful that they will see the wisdom in moving forward because there are so many unanswered questions. But that investigation is important if we're going to move forward on any type of impeachment process. You need to have the factual basis to do that. The Legislative Investigative Committee would be able to do that. And so I hope they do that. I'm looking forward to picking up where we left off.
What would you say to some to say, hey, he's gone anywhere next fall? By the time you do all these different, pick up the investigations and go through the process beyond the taxpayer money and the money spent, at most you'd be removing him a few months before his term's over. Why bother?
Well, it's not a question about removal, and it's not a question of why bother. It's a question of how do we stop this kind of an abuse of power from happening again. Clearly, somebody in the governor's office closed those lanes on the George Washington Bridge. That's not how it's supposed to work. The whole point of the investigation is to find out how it happened, to figure out the channels they used to make it happen, and to break that connection so that in future, whoever in the future does not have the opportunity to abuse that power again.
Clearly, you and the governor probably won't be exchanging holiday cards this upcoming season. He said as much when criticizing you, and some of your fellow lawmakers just yesterday.
I know everybody wants to try to find something else, but it's been 3 years. If there was something else there, someone would have found it. And I know it deeply disappoints Assemblyman Wisniewski, who shockingly is now running for governor.
And how do you respond?
Well, it was the governor and his staff that created Bridgegate. I mean, it would have been really simple. Had they followed the rules, had they not abused their power, there would be no Bridgegate. There would be nothing to investigate. And so what the governor is suggesting is that if he abuses his power, if his staff breaks the law, everybody should turn a blind eye. That makes no sense.
In terms of why you should be the next Democratic nominee or eventual next governor for New Jersey, you've made a point that you were with Bernie Sanders throughout the primary process when he ran for president. Do you view yourself in the same mold here as somebody who's really trying to speak, I guess, to a forgotten population or people that don't see that they have a place right now in the greater New Jersey economy, let alone American?
New Jersey's middle class is under siege, and they don't have anybody to speak up for them. This campaign is about standing up for the middle class to make sure that they have a champion, to understand that the transactional politics of New Jersey has really put them in the position they are now. And what we need, instead of transactional politics, is we need transformative politics. The one thing that the voters know is that John Wisniewski is not afraid to stand up to powerful interests and take on tough challenges. I did that with Bridgegate. I did that with the privatization of the Turnpike, and I'll continue to do that in the future. What New Jersey needs is a leader who's going to look out for the middle class, to find ways to help grow the middle class, to find ways to make sure, for instance, our children get a good quality education, but then when they leave college aren't leaving school crippled with debt, to make sure that people earn a living wage of $15 an hour, to make sure that women get paid an equal amount of money for an equal amount of work. These are things that have been left unaddressed by this administration, and people of New Jersey need somebody who's going to stand up to the special interests, as I have shown I'm able to in the past.
You're not the only Democrat who wants to be governor next year. Phil Murphy, he's already put in some of his money to the tune, I think, of a loan of about $10 million. He's already gotten party support from both chairmen as well as also party leaders. Why are you a better choice than him?
Well, this is not about who can spend the most money on an election. I mean, obviously, that would subvert the whole democratic process. This is about giving men and women who are Democrats, who are interested in the process, an opportunity to choose their next leader. We have a primary process, and that primary will be in June of 2017. It's unfortunate that a lot of my friends in the Democratic Party have prejudged this election, have essentially said to the rank and file that you don't need to make a choice, just trust us. I believe that ordinary men and women who are looking at this will have an ability and should have an ability to choose who the next governor will be, and that's what this campaign's about. New Jersey has a system of public financing. The reason that system was put into place was to make sure that issues and ideas are what matters in campaigns, not money. One of the candidates here has decided that he's going to take his Goldman Sachs Wall Street wealth and try to drown out all competing voices. Unfortunately, that's what the process allows, but it doesn't mean it's right, and it doesn't mean we should sit back and just say to all of the party bosses, with all due respect, that they get to choose who the next governor is.
Is it fair to say that whoever the next governor of New Jersey is, that they've got a mess on their hands financially, in that given the deficits the state's looking at right now, there is going to be pain? We saw the gas tax that went into effect and how it will be appropriated, but that's just an hors d'oeuvre of what will come. Is it enough just to say that the top end's going to pay more, or will everybody have to do belt tightening here in New Jersey, regardless of who wins in November?
Well, I mean, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Let's take the gas tax increase. Well, it wasn't good enough just to talk about fixing the Transportation Trust Fund. In order to get that done, legislative leadership decided that we should give away $12 billion in revenue that we don't have to give away. And so New Jersey is starting off the next year in a financial hole, and that hole will grow larger year after year. That's the kind of transactional politics we need to get away from. In terms of how do you solve that problem, there are very obvious ways to move forward and generate the revenue that's necessary. We have to look at the estate tax cut we did. New Jersey can't afford it, and it probably should be reversed. We need to look at how we're funding our education system, because property taxes are increased by the amount of money we spend on education. We need to fully fund the School Funding Reform Act so that property taxpayers get the relief they need. And then we're going to have to look at a millionaire's tax, because people need to have the revenue coming into the state to make sure that we're doing the things that people expect state government to do, and people ought to pay according to their ability to pay, which is what the millionaire tax would do.
It will be a fascinating year ahead, as it always is in New Jersey politics. Assemblyman, I wish you the best of luck, and thank you for the time.
My pleasure. Good speaking with you.
All right, coming up next, everyone, Republicans on Capitol Hill, they're anxious to repeal Obamacare. Now, they finally have a Republican president that'll work with. But the question is, if they do, what happens to the millions of people who now, for the first time, have coverage? We'll explore that after this.